Would you consider using social networking in your classroom? Why? Why not?
Yes, I would, because I think that it's a really valuable tool, because it's part of the textual landscape that young people are using anyway as part of their lives. And a big part of productive pedagogies is connectedness. And I think that using Web 2.0 tools and ICTs more generally, but yeah, social media networking stuff has got a great deal of potential because it's part of their literate landscape anyway.
Have you ever used it in any of your classes?
Yes, my last school before I came here had an online learning system very similar to what we've got with StudyDesk. So we had Moodle, and we were using it because we're a multi-campus school, and it meant that we were able to have forums and wikis and blogs and chat, like live chat sessions similar to Wimber across campuses with different students, and they were able to contribute from home, in the classroom, so we used it quite heavily actually.
Yeah, and across all subjects?
Well, English was my subject,
yeah.
so that's all I can talk about. I loved it because it gave us a real chance to connect with people around the place. I couldn't tell you kind of how heavily it was used in other subjects. The primary teachers tended to avoid it. Like I was using it with Year 7s, Year 8s and Year 12s were the people I was using it with.
And like, how did the students react with it? Were they really engaged?
Yeah, they loved it because it gave them a sense like they were connecting, not just to each other in the classroom, because you do that anyway, but connecting to other learners. And you know, one of the things I would have loved to have done that friends of mine who are teaching have tried are things where they get in like guest speakers, but they get them in virtually online, so the kids actually interact and do a live chat with someone who might be in Europe or America or wherever.
Like a pen pal sort of thing.
Kind of, yeah.
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 Really cool.
Do you think it has a place in primary schools?
Yeah, of course. I think it, you know, with these kinds of tools, they can be used everywhere. It's about what you're doing with them and why. Like the tool itself is kind of, it's just a tool in the same way that a pen or a book is a tool. It's what we do with it that matters. So absolutely.
Cool. Alright. There's probably anything else? Any other comments?
Well, I think one of the questions that you sent through to me was, do you think that this could be some problems or issues?
Yeah.
And absolutely. There's a whole range of ethical considerations with using online spaces and social media with children. One of the big ones, of course, is that schools are very worried about potential for, you know, I guess probably the easiest example would be, say, teachers adding students or being added by students to Facebook, that you can run into, like even as a university lecturer, it's a grey area ethically, because you sometimes see things, people post things that you probably don't really want to know about. Whether, you know, like, so at school it might be, they might say something derogatory about a teacher or about another student, or you might notice there's the cyberbullying going on, and the question becomes, well, you know, what do you do? So it becomes an ethical consideration. And then of course there's the other side of the coin, which I find a really interesting debate, which is there are spaces that children occupy that schools probably shouldn't, in the sense of let them actually, you know, the idea of just because they're using it as part of their lives doesn't mean that we should take it and ruin it. A little bit like, you know, kids love watching movies, but then if we do enough film studies we end up, you know, ruining it for them. Same with books, that kind of stuff. So there's a real issue there of, just because it's something they use doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be an appropriate tool for the classroom.
Yeah, and like you were saying the other day, your friend principal or something, has taken all the bans off the internet and things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's a really interesting. It's kind of going. So like most schools, clamp down, clamp down, clamp down.
Yeah.
Like the teachers can't access
Yeah.
Facebook. And then this particular school that I've been working with, the principal said no barriers. You sign an agreement at the beginning of the year saying I will use the internet ethically and responsibly, and that's signed off by the parents and by the students. And if the students do something they shouldn't, the parents get their ass kicked as well. So he told me that in the 2 years they've been doing that, they've had one incident, which was a student thought it would be funny to bring up some inappropriate sites, and the parents were not impressed when they got called into the principal's office.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. Cool. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time.
No worries.